G'day mate and welcome back to Factorio with me, JD. So, the train. There was a little problem with my orders. So, this is actually the correct ordering of the train orders, for a uranium train. So we want cargo uranium to be equal to whatever it happens to be per wagon. So I've got 4 wagons, they hold 2,000 uranium each, so I want 8,000 uranium total. And fluid greater than 24K, but also you need to have uranium ore equals 0. Otherwise, what happened to me is I had the train just going through a loop. It would fill up with the acid very, very quickly, and then the train would leave, and it was still full of uranium. So, yeah, small little mistake there. So we're going to run or train back to base. Now, we are processing uranium fairly quickly. You can see dull rocks wise, we've got a heap of them. Shiny rocks, we've only got 2. Oh, there's a third one, 3. So, we have some shiny rocks, but I want more, obviously. And really it comes down to how fast we can, whoop, there goes research. How fast can we process the uranium we're bringing in? So I'm going to copy that, paste it there, add in 1 extra belt there, add in a belt that's going to loop all the way around. And when the bot's finished placing that down, we can then process uranium twice the speed we were processing it. At the same time, we just finished nuclear power. Now, I'm lucky I've got solar power, so I don't really need nuclear power. But being a tutorial series, we're going to step through everything I possibly can. So we're going to go build some nuclear power. Now, nukes are cheap, he says, full of sarcasm. Where are we? So we need, for the reactor itself, we need 500 copper plates, plus 500 steel, plus 500 red circuits, plus 500 concrete. So yeah, they're a little bit expensive. On top of that, we're going to need some heat exchangers, which again, a heap of copper, a heap of steel, a heap of pipe. And finally, we're going to need some heat pipes. Which again, more copper, more steel, with some steam turbines, which are similar to the steam engines we had before, except you see these have a maximum temperature of 500 compared to the steam engines which have a maximum temperature of 165. They also consume fluid twice as fast, 60 seconds rather than 30 seconds. So, because of how expensive these are, the nuclear reactor you might handcraft, and actually, that's probably what we're going to end up doing. Run down here. Yeah, I've got that amount. I need red circuits. Right here. Uh, 200. 300. 400. 500. Oh, this is yellow belt. For no other reason than because we can. To say there. Probably doesn't need to be red belt, but you know, why not? Okay, so we've got that. I need concrete, so I'm just going to request 500 concrete from the network, because I don't need to request landfill anymore. I went between episodes and I just landfilled in this corner, put down the extra miners we were missing to get all the uranium and left it alone. So, we have heat exchanger, which is copper and steel and pipes. Copper, steel, of course those two are straight on one another. Okay, no, we're going to go Control X, and I'm going to cut that. It's full of stuff, and slide it down 1 tile. change you over to a long-hand inserter, because now I can run my steel this way. And we can do hopefully everything we need right here. So we're going to do a heat exchanger. We're going to do a steam turbine. I left that gear belt way back there somewhere. Yep. Nope. Put those back in there. Okay. That one. That one. Long hand inserter. There. 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 You also need pipe and you need pipe. So we're going to put that one down there. I'm going to put down a requester chest because there is nothing wrong with using bots at this stage to just move things along the make everything. You can output up there and there. And I'm going to be lazy and just cap these to 1 stack each. Actually, the steam turbines stack in 10, so I'm probably going to cap it to 2 stacks, being 20. And the easiest way to find out what something stacks to is if you request it, it should request a full stack. So I can confirm that requests 10, heat exchangers request 50. So 1 stack of heat exchangers is actually going to be too much. And 1 stack of steam turbines would not be enough. Last thing we need is the heat pipe, which is, again, all the materials are right here. Where does this come out? Good, you can stretch over. Heat pipe stacks in 50 from memory? Yeah. And again, we're going to... No, 2 stacks should be enough. Done. So these are not going to run at full speed by any means. They'll actually run really, really slowly because we're using long-handed inserters to get some of the higher use items in there, like the copper itself. So, you know, I can add extra inserters without too much issue, but you know, it's a make everything. It's make almost everything. It's meant to run. It's meant to run slowly because you don't use the material all that often. Oh, you're still running. Oh, yeah, I might need that 1 extra bit of belt, and you'll probably need a long hand inserter so you can get your steel. You need 50 steel, 200 red circuits. We'll just throw inserters at the problem until it goes away. Okay. There's still yellow belt in here. There's still a lot of yellow belt in there. Okay, so we've got that problem sorted as well. We brought batteries down. What did we bring batteries down for? Obviously, there was a reason. Okay, so craft a nuclear reactor. Have I done that yet? No. Concrete. 500. I'm still waiting on the concrete. It's just being slow. So what I can do is I can request speed modules. We can throw a couple of speed modules in here to speed up the machine. At the same time, research-wise, so we're going to get a personal Roboport 2, and then we're going to just add some logistics slots, some more trash slots, because that'll take us ages to get the research done. We're slowly building centrifuges up there. I'm definitely in the network. I just need to wait for these things to get shipped to me. Okay, so I'm requesting 500 concrete down here in our make almost everything. This is requesting 100. Because I'm requesting 500 to its 100, I should get materials delivered to me first. It's not a guarantee, but it's a general thing. Yeah, I've got 2 on the way, so we just got to wait. One thing I can do is I can slide up like that, and now because I'm requesting 50,000, guaranteed all concrete will definitely go to my inventory. Well, very, very high chance that all the concrete will go to my inventory rather than disappearing off to anywhere else that it is being requested. So with 2 speed modules, I've increased the speed of the machine by 30%, but I've also increased the energy consumption by 120, well, 2 lots of 30%, so 60% overall increase in speed, but I've also increased the energy consumption by 120%. And we can see the pollution on the side there at 6.6. If I pull those out, the pollution goes back to 3. So drastically increases the speed and the pollution and the energy consumption, but also makes it craft faster. Not a whole lot faster, but definitely faster. Ideally, actually, you're always better off putting down 2 machines. 2 machines is actually way more efficient than just speeding a machine up. Okay, we need to look at somewhere where we might want to put nuclear. You know what? If I bring that out, I think we're going to move the wall out. It's pretty much a solid wall of lasers at this point. If I just move the lasers out just that little bit. Oh, wrong button. Rotate, drop that in there. Cut that, pop it in there. Done. We just need the robo ports to support it. Robo port. Okay, we got 500 concrete yet? No. Almost. Oh, they don't have power. That's probably important. Builder's defensive wall added no power. Good trick, JD. Good trick. Okay, same story here. Hook up power. Add a robo port. There. Once I got the first robo port down, I can add the second one and then use copy and paste to just overlap them. And I know they're at maximum range to one another. There we go. 500 yet? Yes, just. Okay, I don't want that anymore. But now we can see I've got more logistic slots, which are awesome. So we can make a nuclear reactor. At the same time, we should probably do something about making some nuclear fuel. So nuclear fuel's down here. It requires one of the 235s and a handful of the 238s. So, and it also requires a centrifuge. So I'm going to turn off my personal robots. I'm going to... no, it's been an assembler, isn't it? It is. Never mind. Copy, paste. Okay, so we're going to put down a single assembler. And I want it somewhere close to this because I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to use robots to move the materials the short distance they need to move. We're going to have some uranium fuel cells. I'm going to make you a passive provider as well. We're going to go with 2 requester chests. And one thing you can do with a request chest is you can copy. So if I shift right click on this one and I shift left click on this one, this will request 1 minute's worth of production into this machine. So if I'm using a faster machine, it'll obviously request more. If I was using a slower machine, it would request less. If I use speed modules, it would request even more. So we're going to put an inserter, an output right here. I want to cap this to, actually I want to go even better. I want to cap this to, this is 20. And we currently have 6 in the network. Not a lot. Not a lot of these shiny rocks. Now, to make the fuel cells, we use 1 shiny rock, 10 plate, but it makes 10 uranium fuel cells. When it comes to fuel cells, the... hang on, let's just request these so they actually end up my inventory. The wall's already half built. Why don't you have power? You do have power. You're just lying to me. When we request in... the way the nuclear reactor works is it constantly uses... no, we still don't have steam engines. Oh, steam engines did something right there. We used a little bit of fuel out of them. So the way nuclear works is it constantly burns the power at all times. So, it constantly burns its fuel. So when we put down our nuclear reactor, whenever we put fuel in there, the fuel burns constantly, and the fuel burns at a rate of 1 fuel cell per 200 seconds. So you really need to keep an eye on how much fuel you're using, and I really recommend that you use nuclear power as a supplemental power. So you use nuclear power to supplement your steam power, or use nuclear power to supplement your solar power, because no matter what, it's always going to be burning, it's always going to be generating that heat that it needs to keep the system running. So yeah, it's something you have to keep in mind, that because it's constantly burning, because it's constantly using that fuel, you don't want to waste fuel. And you can add smarts to add fuel when required, but the biggest thing is we can see its current temperature is 15 degrees. It actually takes a long time for the nuclear reactor to heat up. It has to get over 500 degrees before it starts producing power. So any sort of smarts, you'll find a lot of times the fuel's actually more than half wasted before the reactor is hot enough to turn on. So the way nuclear reactors work, we add in power, number 1. Number 2, we add in heat pipes, which, if you're at all familiar with computer systems, literally just move heat from point A to point B. Second thing we do is we put in a heat exchanger, which is very similar to our boilers, except they hook into heat pipes rather than hooking into burning fuel directly with an inserter. And then they're going to output steam via this direction after we input water in this direction. You'll have to move over. Awesome. Okay, so we've got water, we've got heat eventually, and then last thing we need is the steam turbines. Now, the ratios for these guys are fairly simple to start with. I'm going to power the whole lot up to a substation because I can. Actually, 2 substations. So the ratios for these guys is It's a little bit of a weird ratio. I think it's 1.78 steam turbines per heat exchanger, or something crazy like that. Which means that you can bring all the steam out, put it into one pipe, run it into all the different turbines, have the exact ratio. But all fluids decrease UPS, which is the amount of, well, all fluids are very costly, is probably the better way of putting it, on UPS, which is updates per second. Now, the updates per second is not something you've worried about at all in early game, and probably even at the point of launching one rocket, you're still not worried about it. But as you build larger and larger and larger, it can become a giant issue. And honestly, for how close the ratio is, it's just not worth it. So I end up building one heat exchanger per, two turbines per heat exchanger, which is a close enough ratio. You got to remember that your steam turbines do use 60 fluid per second, which means a heat exchanger actually puts out 100 and I think it's not quite 120, maybe it's 115 or something fluid per second, and that's why the ratio is a little bit weird. But if you work on the numbers of 120, it also means that you have to keep in mind that you can only have 10 heat exchangers per fluid pump because they have a pumping speed of 1200. So now we've said all that, we need to bring fuel down here. So I want you to bring in fuel. And we're going to have you bring in fuel. Not 50, just 10. 10 is overkill. Now, obviously, once this has burnt the fuel, the biggest difference in a nuclear reactor is it actually has a byproduct being spent fuel. If can I even look at it? No, I can't. But in the tech tree, I can see it here. It has used up uranium fuel cells, which are, like I said, they're a byproduct. They do nothing. So we want to get these out of this machine, and we need to do something with them. This is one of the rare times I actually recommend that we use a active provider chest. So an active provider chest sends its contents to the Logi network. And the reason we want to use one of these is we never, ever, 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 ever want this to get stuck and full of uranium, or used up uranium cells, because then our reactor's obviously not going to work. What's the issue? We have not enough walls. No. No, we want wall. Yeah, so if I use that deconstruction planner from there all the way up to here, and at the same time I can use it right there, that'll clean up all that mess. No, we've still got some active bots. Okay, so we added some fuel. As you can see, the heat's up to 50 degrees already, and we've burnt through an eighth of our fuel cell. We were starting at 15 degrees, so we were starting very, very, very low temperature. But the point still stands. You are burning fuel to heat up all these heat pipes, all these heat exchangers for a net profit of 0. We just need to pre-warm the system. So it can get very, very, very expensive if you're using any sort of smart system. Now, one thing you can do is these guys output steam no matter what. Now, as we can see, our steam turbines have an in and an out on each one of their inputs for steam. One thing you can do is you can take that excess heat you've generated and put it into a tank as a sort of buffer. So we can take that steam we've generated, buffer it, and then potentially put some extra turbines on the end. Now, these turbines cannot run at full speed. It's physically impossible for them to run at full speed when the system's up and running. But they can run If we're not using the nuclear power, say during the daytime when solar's running, and then during the nighttime, because we don't have enough accumulators or whatever, these extra steam turbines can switch on and actually output power. And as you can see, these guys put out 5.8 megawatts each. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 megawatts. All our solar and our accumulators putting together are putting out 228 megawatts. Actually, no, is it? Every wrong button in the world. It is currently daytime we're recharging. So all of our solar is putting out 228 megawatts. That's all this area, all of this area is putting out 220. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 60. At least 40, potentially 60, in a much, much, much smaller footprint. We're up to 200 degrees and we've used our first full fuel cell. Almost. Yeah, like I said, preheating these is expensive and it takes time, and it's one of the reasons I do recommend that you don't go silly with smart systems. And don't forget to keep this system running. I also need to keep my inflow of the shiny rocks happening. So I've got 20 fuel cells here. I have one shiny rock left. I'm only requesting one into that chest. I have 3 spares, and I'm still processing, looking for more shiny rocks to run the system hopefully more efficiently, hopefully faster. Actually, it looks like all my little wooden chests are backed up. We're still waiting for 5 centrifuges. So I can, when this is up and running, and I've built all the centrifuges, I can actually increase it and put out more centrifuges, which is probably something I'd look at doing. I've also got to keep making sure that I make sure that my supply of uranium keeps coming in. This is a very dependent system. It has sub-dependencies that you need to worry about. So yeah, it's something to keep in mind. And we've already output our very first... hang on, 22 plus 6 is... Maybe we've already burnt through 2 fuel cells. Yeah, we've already output our very, very first used up uranium fuel cell, and it's gone back into the network. It's sitting somewhere in storage. Right there. It's in that storage chest. So it's sitting there in that storage chest. It's going to sit there potentially forever and do absolutely nothing. Anyway, I'm going to end this episode here. I'm going to stand here for the next 10 minutes or so whilst I wait for this to preheat and reheat, and then we can see it spring into action hopefully in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. As always, do hope you're enjoying the series. I'll see you next episode, hopefully with some nuclear power. Alright, bye.